Wow, look at us. We got 1, 2, 3 studio lights, 1, 2, 3 GoPros and a DSLR. This took me longer to set up than it will to do the job. G'day everybody and welcome back. If you saw the update that I did on Saturday, you would have seen that I didn't get the timing right on the valve train. Well, I didn't check the timing on the valve train. End of the day, just throw all the tools away, pack up and go and do what you've got to do, what life demands. But a couple of you raised the point, and I did subsequently check that I'm a tooth out on the timing, and that was because I didn't have the cam bearings tightened down when I was trying to align these timing marks. So I wasn't going to film it, but this is an experiment, an exercise in lighting, basically. So it's just an excuse for me to see how I go with this. So if you note, it is currently on top dead center, being rotated in the clockwise direction. The timing marks are out a bit, so I'm going to try and get away with just removing the timing chain tensioner. We'll see how that goes. If that doesn't work, I'll probably have to remove the inlet cam, but we'll see. I'm just going to release the locking nut on the timing chain tensioner and tighten the screw down to hold the plunger in position. Just going to wind this back. Now I should be able to jump that one tooth. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Right, rotate this back around till the T. I've just gone past it. I've just gone past it, so I'm going to go all the way around again. But before I do, I'm going to put this. I'm going to put the timing chain tensioner back in. Torque him back up. 9.8 pound-feet. I kept saying foot-pound in the last video. Release. What the hell's going on here? This ain't going to work. I'm going to have to let that inlet cam go because the chain isn't retracting back down in there. So I'm going to have to release this, move it forward so I can get the chain aligned, and then I'll put that back in again. Alright, this is getting interesting now. So I don't have my vice grips here, so I'm just going to risk undoing this cam. Right. We know this is in the right position. This is in the right position now. It's only this one, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 18, 19, 20. One, 2, 3, 17, 18, 19, 20. Right, so now we've got the right number, even though it's all bunched up here. I'm going to put, we've got a free fall for the chain down through the tensioner. So I'm going to pop him in again. I'll just release that now. Very carefully turn the right, we're away. Let's do a lap. Or two. Okay, so let's bring this now up to top dead center, which is right there. Arrow is parallel and at the same level and parallel to the gasket face here. 2 is vertical. 20 links back, we've got 3 also vertical. So top dead center, exhaust cam timed, intake cam timed, and the tensioner is has taken up the slack. Well, that took that took a little bit longer than what I was expecting. So, if the chain was out, if the cams were advanced, it wouldn't have been so bad. Just jump the chain back and pull it all again. The fact that they were retarded was a bit of a nuisance at the tail end here, because that chain didn't want to play the game and drop sort of back down in there nice and slack. I had to pull the camshaft out. No harm, no foul. Let's have a look at where we are with the clearances now. So that's the next next important thing to do. We're probably most likely going to be in a position today where we are able to determine, hopefully we'll be able to determine all of the clearance changes that we need to make. Depends on whether or not we've got enough shims to, or we can actually get our feeler gauge in under there. So we'll start working through that now. Alright, so the Suzuki manual says that the tappet clearances. I was watching back the video that I put up on Saturday, and I was calling that cover. I don't know whether or not you saw it, but I had to do a weld repair on that tappet cover, and I was calling it a rocker cover or timing cover. I had timing on the brain. So now the tappet clearance for the Suzuki GS1000 cold engine is 0.03 of a millimetre to 0.08 of a millimetre, which is between 1 and 3 thousandths. Now Jim up at Handmade Races assures me that a noisy GS is a happy GS. He said to try and aim for the top end of that spec. My feeler gauges only go down to 0.04 of a millimetre or 1.5 thousandths. So the first thing we need to do is try and determine if we can even get a 1.5 thou shim in underneath these buckets. So the manual also says if you wind this around to this position here, you can measure both 1 and 2. I can't even get a 1.5 thousandths under number 1. I can't get one under number 2 either, so they're already tight. This one is just too far onto the lobe, I think. Might be on the base circle, but I can't get that under. They're all going to be tight. This is going to prove to be difficult. Right, let's rotate it 180 degrees. And we should be able to get to the next lot. Certainly get to that one. Nope. 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 Hello, hello. I think I might have found one that's got clearance. Yay! I can get my 1.5 thou shim under that one. So number 3 exhaust is larger than 1.5 thousandths. Let's try 0.05 millimeter or 2 thousandths. Fits. Go straight to the top. 0.08 of a millimeter is loose. Way loose, actually. Let's go up a couple more. 0.05 of a millimeter. Still loose. Go up a couple more. 0.07. 0.07 was bloody 7 thou. Let's go up to 8 thou, which is 0.2 of a millimeter. And I think that's where we're at. There's just a bit of resistance on there. So that one has 0.2 of a millimeter or 8 thousandths clearance. So exhaust number 3 has plus 0.2 of a millimeter of clearance. Let's keep looking, see if we can find any more. Alright, so all of the others we can't get any clearance, so we have to assume that that's 0, even if it is more than that or less than that. So we need to have a minimum of 1 to 3 thousandths smaller shim than what's in there, probably more, or all except for 1. So that 1 we can pull out. I just need, what size is that? Currently it is, number 3 exhaust is a 2.65 millimeter shim. Sorry, a 2.7 millimeter shim, which is not the skinniest shim in there. The thickest shim is number 4 exhaust, sorry, number 4 inlet. So if I take the shim out of number 4 inlet, it's a 3 millimeter, so 0.3 of a millimeter thicker than, well, that's going to be too tight then, isn't it? All right, so where's the thinnest one? The thinnest one is number 1 inlet, and it's 2.35 millimeters. So I'm going to take the shim out of it and swap it with something else. I've got my little pick. This isn't quite as elaborate as the XS1100 one that you have to bolt in. I'll just chuck it down beside the shim. Got him out. So that is a 235 and it says that on the back. Let's try swapping the 0.35 millimeter one into exhaust number 4, which has the thickest at 3 millimeters. Now I don't want to rotate the cam onto the bucket without a shim in it, but if I just give that a tweak more. 235. I'm going to go and put this back into number 1 inlet, 3mm. Let's give it a revolution. So 0.4 of a millimetre or 1.5 thou fits. 0.6 fits. Let's go to the top of the scale, which is 0.8mm or 3 thou. Fits. 4 is just, yeah, 4 thou. So 0.1 of a millimetre. Yeah. 0.1 of a millimetre. Probably more like about 0.12, somewhere around that. Right, what the hell just happened? So we had a 3mm, shim in intake number 4 over here. The smallest shim in all of the valves is inlet number 1, which is 2.35mm thick. So I took the thinnest shim and put it into number 4 and measured it, and we ended up with inlet number 4 became a 2.35. Inlet number 1 is now a 3. So with the 0.235mm shim in number 4, we measured clearance of somewhere between 0.1 and 0.13 of a millimetre. So if we go to our sizing chart in our manual and we look up the range between 0.1 and 0.13, which it's actually 0.09 to 0.13, and we go down our chart from a 2.35mm shim, you'll see that we need a 2.40mm shim. Let's scan through here. We've got one here in exhaust number 1. So over here, it measures 2.41, but it'll be a 2.40. So I'm going to take the shim out of that. We can't get a feeler gauge in there anyway. So we'll take the shim out of that and we'll swap it with number 4. And that should bring number 4 into play. It should be in tolerance. And if it is, we leave it there. And with a bit of luck, that smaller one there will allow us to get a measurement on number 1 exhaust. You follow? I'm just going to bring that up a tiny bit more. Somewhere there. Alright, so number 1 exhaust now has a 4, number 3 still has the 3mm. Number 4 exhaust now has a 2.35mm shim. Number 1 has a 3mm shim, and the exhaust has a 2.35mm shim. That 2.35mm shim is going to get moved around quite a bit. And the only other one we've changed is number 4, which currently has a 2.4mm shim. So now, let's see if we've got the right amount of clearance on number 4 inlet. Alright, so we'll go for, obviously the bottom will fit. This 0.05 millimeter or 2 thou. Yes. 0.08 millimeter or 3 thou. No, it's tight. So it's in that, it's around about the 0.05 mark. So, which is, it's only just dragging on there. So we're kind of a little bit thicker than that. So we're just below the top of the tolerance, and I'm calling that good. So number 4 inlet is now right. The missus has come home and I've had a coffee since I did this little switcheroo. So I'm just going to measure. I can't remember whether or not I measured number 1 exhaust after all that. So it's now got a 2.35 millimeter. I've got clearance there now. Yep, it's spot on. It's 0.06 or 2.5 thou. So that's what we need in exhaust number 1 is correct. That's what we need. So we've actually got 2 right at the... Yep, that was my microphone cutting out. It was getting all a little bit tedious anyway. So it's after 11:30 at night. I was editing away, and I realised I'd lost all the audio off the number 1 camera. The audio off the other cameras wasn't worth putting up. It was that poor. So we'll pull it up there, but I'll just recap on what's happened here. So we ended up with, at the end of the day, I ended up with 2 of the exhausts, number 1 and number 3 in spec, and intake number 4 in spec. All of the others are out of spec. Some of them are a little tight at the 2.35 millimeter shim. Some of them feel like that's about 0 clearance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a chat to Suzuki, because I don't have a box of 29.5 millimeter shims. So I'm going to have a chat to the Suzuki dealership and see if I can borrow one of each of the smaller ones down to 2.15, and I can work out what I need, and then I'll order the new ones through them. So I'll do all that off camera. A few things to point out. One, did you see the fairing in the beginning? I picked that thing up as part of some other parts that I got, some XS 1100 parts, and that was sort of thrown in, and it fits this thing perfectly. All I have to do is make up some brackets to mount it, and I think it'll look really good. I'm going to put it on, and if Bill wants to keep it, he can keep it. I'm sure Adrian will paint it for him. On your Adrian. The other thing is, a lot of people will probably be hammering on the keyboard about using a magnet on and pointy bits around those buckets. Yes, you should take care. You should use a little dull screwdriver and a pair of forceps or tweezers or something to extract it. I've been using magnets forever, and I've never had a problem with them. The issue is that you could magnetise the shim, and it could stick to the cam lobe and lift out of the bucket. That's the theory. Or retract iron filings. So there are reasons why you shouldn't do that, and as the disclaimer says in the beginning, that's how I do it. Right, so semi-successful. At least we've got a start on the valve clearances. It is a mongrel job, and you should really keep better records than scribbling on a bit of cardboard, spreadsheets, or draw up a chart so that you can keep track. That's what I did when I did the XS 1100 ones last time, and that works well. I just grabbed the nearest thing that I had. I'm tired. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. And I'll catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.